Oh my goodness, the sugar cravings are absolutely insane when you're over 40, leading up to and going through menopause. In this video, I'm going to talk about why you get these intense sugar cravings and what you can do about it in some simple steps. Hello fam, and welcome to my channel. My name's Melissa Neal, and this channel is all about helping you, if you're a woman over 40 or like me over 50, get in fantastic shape. But one of the things that can really derail this is when you get those intense sugar cravings. And I know that it can kind of go like this. I'm going to describe it. You get through the day, in the afternoon you have a dip in your energy levels and you're really craving some sugar. So what do? You reach for a donut, you reach for a sugary treat, you get this energy increase, and then you crash again about an hour later or more. And that is a typical pattern for somebody at this stage in life. So I'm talking about over 40, I'm talking about people that might be going through perimenopause, but you might not have even reached that yet, and then menopause. So I'm going to talk about the reasons why, because it's actually not your fault. Nobody told me this. It's not your fault. It's not because you lack discipline with your food. There are actually some biological reasons this is happening. Just a side note here, in this video I'm actually talking about refined sugar. So I'm not talking about things like fruit, artificial sweeteners, or other types of sweeteners like honey. I'm really talking about the cravings for refined sugar. So I just talked about it, and it's to do with your hormones. So your hormone levels, once you reach over the age of 40, some people it might be a little bit younger, they're changing. Not only are hormones like estrogen, progesterone and testosterone, they're depleting more, but they can be really out of whack. So that's the first reason. And the sugar cravings can get even more intense when you're going through perimenopause and menopause. Another thing that's happening at this stage in life, many women can have insulin resistance, and your blood sugar levels, which is what insulin controls, are actually changing. So that can mean if you're insulin resistant or there's a problem with your blood sugar levels, you're gonna get those intense sugar cravings, maybe even carbohydrate cravings generally as well, but you're gonna get those intense sugar cravings. And did you know that it's thought that around about 80% of Americans are walking around with insulin resistance, but also you're actually much more prone to insulin resistance when you reach over the age of 40. The other thing that's happening is your gut health is changing. So if your gut health is off, that can cause sugar cravings. But of course, eating sugary foods actually makes your gut health worse. It actually makes your insulin resistance worse. All these things, as well as causing sugar cravings, actually having sugar can actually make them much worse. A big one for many women at this stage in life is lack of sleep. And this happens a lot more as you get older. And lack of sleep causes hormones like ghrelin and leptin to go off, which means again you can have those really intense sugar cravings and carbohydrate cravings. And you know, many women find at this stage in life you're going to be really lacking in sleep. And I know when I'm lacking in sleep, I definitely get those carb cravings. Another thing that's connected to hormones is your menstrual cycle. So you may find that during your menstrual cycle, you actually have intense sugar cravings, again, intense carbohydrate cravings, and it's only at certain times of the month. And this actually becomes much more pronounced when you reach over 40. You might be experiencing much more pronounced PMT, premenopausal tension. So look out for that. You might spot that at certain times of the month it actually gets worse. Another big one is stress. Sugar cravings can actually be brought on by stress. Lots of women suffer, at any age really, from stress eating and sort of craving those kind of sugary, high-fat foods. It's really, really common when you're stressed. So it's quite important to get on top of stress, but I'm going to go into this. So why is it important to deal with sugar cravings? We've talked about why you would have sugar cravings, and it's just really important to reiterate why it's important to get on top of sugar. Now, the obvious one is weight gain, isn't it? Or really struggling to lose weight and weight gain. Actually, sugar at this stage in life, it can cause your menopause symptoms to get worse. I know that if I go out for a meal and I have a dessert, because I generally don't eat sugar the rest of the time, I really notice, the night sweats getting worse. So that's the first thing. It's actually going to make your menopause symptoms worse. It's going to make your insulin resistance worse. If you are insulin resistant, you've got a much higher chance of being insulin resistant at this stage in life. And it's actually worse for your health, isn't it? Eating more sugar is actually not a healthy thing. So those might sound really obvious, but it might be the thing that actually gives you motivation to do something about it. So I'm going to talk about now what you can do about it, and there are some sort of simple steps you can take, and it's something that you do need to continually work on. So I need to continually work on it, and I find it really difficult at times to avoid sugar, so it's really important to work on it. So firstly, I'm going to talk about how you can prevent sugar cravings, and then watch right till the end, because I'm going to talk about what you can do about it when you actually get sugar cravings. The thing is, it's really important to make sure you're getting plenty of protein in your diet, because protein is actually going to help you feel satiated, and feeling satiated, actually you're less likely to eat more sugar. So that's getting in protein at every single meal or snack. Then it's really going to help if you have dietary fats in your diet. So now, good quality fats are things like olive oil, avocado, oily fish, nuts, nut butter, and even some of the things like, I like feta cheese. It's a bit of a lighter cheese, not so many calories as standard cheese, and halloumi cheese. Those are Greek cheeses. So if you can get some of those fats into your diet, they are really good for sort of hormone balancing. Good quality fats, they're really good for keeping you well satisfied so you don't get the sugar cravings. And now I'm going to talk about carbohydrate, because carbohydrate gets demonized, but the thing is to get in complex carbohydrates, because they're going to give you that full sensation. So I've eaten oats for breakfast this morning with some protein powder. I'm really, really full, and I'm not going to be hungry for the next few hours. I'm not going to be wanting to reach for some candy bars because I'm not at all hungry. So that's important. It's okay to eat non-refined sugar. So when you're thinking about things like eating a piece of fruit, so with my breakfast I had some berries, sometimes I have a banana. Eating any piece of fruit, that's actually going to give you that sort of sugary feeling without giving you a huge blood sugar spike. It's also going to satisfy those sugar cravings a little bit. Don't forget to stay hydrated. That's another thing that actually makes you feel satisfied, not as hungry. If you're drinking plenty of water through the day, so like half a gallon, which is 2 litres or more, that's really going to help. And remember, don't skip meals, because skipping meals can lead to intense hunger, intense sugar cravings, and that's just what you don't want. Focus on getting good quality sleep. I've made a sleep video. I'm going to link it up here with all the strategies on how to get better quality sleep, because it is actually really challenging at this time of life to get in sleep. And I have to be intentional about sleep. I'm not just going to magically get a good night's sleep. I work on strategies which are all inside this video that I've made all about sleep. Reducing your stress levels, easy easy for me to say, quite hard for you to do, but focus on things like relaxation techniques, meditation, doing things that please you. That's going to really help de-stress you, and getting on top of your gut health. So you might want to take something like a probiotic and eat fermented foods. So you're talking about sort of cultured yogurts, sauerkraut, kombucha, kimchi, any kind of fermented foods will really help settle your gut. You've put all those things in place and you still find you get a sugar craving, and what you want to do is kind of reach for a donut, reach for a candy bar. What do you do about it? Well, the first thing is try having something that's a sugar substitute. So a piece of fruit is really good. Don't worry about what sort of fruit it is, just kind of any fruit that you've got. Eating a piece of fruit is going to be far better for you than having refined sugar. I'm okay with keeping disciplined about eating something that's really small. So I like to have 1 square of dark chocolate. That really kind of gives me that sweet sensation, and there's only a small amount of sugar in that, but you have to be disciplined because you don't want to eat the whole bar. So it might not be for you if you don't feel you've got the discipline to just not eat the whole bar. Don't do that. It's only good for people that can just stick to a very small amount. And then you might want to try sugar substitute. Although I don't recommend these all the time, something like a diet soda, because there are artificial sweeteners and chemicals in it, they can be a really useful tool, actually giving you that sweet sensation in your mouth and sort of satisfying the sugar cravings. Or if you wanted a healthier option, go for one of these infused teas and sweeten it with something like stevia or any other kind of sugar substitute. So it could be something like a protein bar, a protein smoothie, which is a protein shake blended up with some fruit. That can give you some sort of satisfaction. It makes you feel like sugar. And one of the things I absolutely love is Halo Top ice cream. Just a small amount, 3 to 4 ounces, around about 100 grams. Don't want a lot of that. That type of ice cream or any other type of low calorie ice cream can sort of give you that really sweet sensation and make you feel that you've had something really indulgent when actually it's actually 0 or low sugar. Now I'm going to talk about some other strategies other than just reaching for food. What you want to focus on is actually taking 5 minutes. So when you get that sugar craving, that like, oh, I just want to have this sugary thing and I can't do without it, sit and think for 5 minutes before you actually go and then reach for that thing, because it might be in 5 minutes time you actually don't feel like it at all. That can be a really useful strategy. And also journaling while you're actually waiting for that 5 minutes. Journaling how you're feeling. Why is it that you want that sugar? Because it's really important to understand your own body and what your triggers are. I've talked about the triggers earlier on, some of the reasons why we get it. It could be like a biological reason, but it could be a psychological reason. Journaling is fantastic for kind of identifying that, because if you know what triggers are for you, so for me it's actually lack of sleep, I can understand how my body works and put some strategies in place to avoid that happening in the future. Meditation can be a really useful tool, but of course it depends where you are, isn't it? Because if you're out at work and you're in the office, you can't meditate just because you've got a sugar craving. But many women find that this comes on in the evening, maybe after they've had a meal. So if you feel like, oh, I've got this intense sugar craving, try meditating and listening to a meditative audio instead, and that may help by actually changing how you feel, and after that meditation you may not feel like sugar anymore. Practicing mindful eating, so that's taking time with your meals and taking about 10 to 20 chews, not having any distractions like technology and smartphones while you're eating, can also really help, because it really gives you that full sensation quite early on in the meal, and then you're less likely to have sugar cravings. cravings. And the next thing I'm going to talk about is distraction. Distracting yourself, I find this really helpful. Maybe going out for a walk, getting on the phone to talk to a friend for a long time, or doing something that's going to keep your mind really active so you're actually not thinking about the sugar. Now, I'm not saying that all those things are perfect and it's absolutely going to work every time. So if you do reach for the sugar, try not to worry about it too much. Don't beat yourself up. Just get back on track as soon as possible, because nobody's perfect. I've done this. Oh, I've eaten some sugar. It wasn't planned. It's like, well, there's nothing you can do about it once it's happened. So just try to quickly move on and get back on track. Let me know in the comments section if you've experienced these sugar cravings and whether you're actually going to try some of these strategies. Maybe you've even tried these strategies before. Let me know whether they've worked or not. I know it is a real challenge, but if you get on top of it, you're just going to feel so much better. I don't eat a great deal of sugar and I feel really well for it.